Charlie Kirk is dead, murdered on September 10th, 2025, while standing on stage in Utah, doing what he always did, speaking freely, boldly, unapologetically. And his assassination has jolted America awake.
Their facts collapse, their stories bend, but this AI cuts straight to the end. Welcome to the Warsh Show.
Because this was not some random act of madness, this was political violence. It was the poisonous fruit of years of dehumanization, of the radical left normalizing hatred, celebrating it, weaponizing it. And here's the hard truth we've got to face. America is at a tipping point. Either we stand firm on the principles that made this country free, or we let fear and rage drag us into darkness. Charlie himself put it best long before his death. There is no such thing as hate speech under American law. There's ugly speech, gross speech, even evil speech. But it's all speech, and it's all protected by the First Amendment. That is the principle. That's the foundation. And if we lose that, we lose America. Let's be clear. Hate speech doesn't exist as a legal category in the United States. None. Zero. The Supreme Court has said it over and over again. In case after case, Skokie, Snyder v. Phelps, Mittal v. Tam, the court has affirmed that offensive or hateful speech is still speech and therefore protected. Justice Samuel Alito wrote in 2017, "The proudest boast of our free speech jurisprudence is that we protect the freedom to express the thought that we hate." Think about that. The thought that we hate is the one most in need of protection. So when Attorney General Pam Bondi recently posted, "Hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence is not protected by the First Amendment. It's a crime," she was half right. Just lop off the first 7 words and you have a perfect statement. Threats of violence are not protected speech. True threats, incitement to imminent violence, those are crimes under 18 U.S.C. 275, Sort 876. But hate speech, that's just speech. Conservatives need to scrub that phrase from our vocabulary because every time we repeat it, we validate the left's censorship racket. The new one-way street Charlie Kirk's murder stripped the mask off a sickness that's been festering for years. Because within hours, you saw it. Professors, journalists, online influencers, they weren't just condemning the violence, they were celebrating it. At Clemson University, one employee posted, "In a world full of Charlie Kirks," via Tyler Robinson, literally urging people to imitate Kirk's killer. A professor called the day of his death one of the most beautiful days ever. Others sneered karma and play stupid games, win stupid prizes. These are supposed to be educators. And then came destiny. Stephen Bunnell sitting across from Piers Morgan, smirking into the camera, refusing to condemn murder. His words will live in infamy. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term. Translation: conservatives deserve to be assassinated because you voted wrong. Morgan was shocked, pressed him to just say the killing was horrific, unacceptable. Destiny couldn't do it. He doubled down, arguing conservatives should be afraid of getting killed. That wasn't a slip of the tongue. This man has a history. He has bragged about moving full on to the real violence level when it comes to conservatives. He's joked about Trump supporters being shot, even fantasized about watching a congressman hanged. And the left eats it up, calls him edgy. Let's call it what it is: incitement. Dehumanization, a one-way street. Because when violence comes from the left, it's excused. When violence comes from the right, it's treated as an existential national crisis. That double standard is tearing the country apart. Trump's call for nonviolence. And in the middle of this storm, what did Donald Trump say? He said exactly what Charlie Kirk would have said: do not respond with violence. Even as the media smeared him, even as left-wing commentators smirked, Trump stood at a podium and told his supporters he was an advocate of nonviolence. That's the way I'd like to see people respond. That's leadership, that's principle. That's the difference between us and them. We don't wish death on our political opponents. We don't celebrate when tragedy strikes them. We don't say, well, play stupid games. And yet we still demand justice. We demand that Charlie's killer and anyone who egged him on be held accountable, because free speech is not a license to threaten, to plot, to incite. The line is clear. And when it's crossed, the law must come down like a hammer. Enforcing the line, threats are crimes. Here's where conservatives need to sharpen our message. We're the party of free speech absolutism, but we're not anarchists. The First Amendment protects ideas, even offensive ones. It does not protect violence. Under 18 U.S.C.'s APN 875 seats, it's a federal crime to send a communication threatening to injure another person. Under 876, it's a felony to mail threatening letters. Under 875, it's a felony to threaten members of Congress or their families. Those are not speech crimes. Those are crimes of intimidation, crimes of terror. You cannot call for someone's murder. You cannot swat a member of Congress. You cannot dox a conservative family and shrug free speech. No. These are punishable acts, and it's time law enforcement treated them as such, regardless of political direction. That's the clarity America needs. Speech is free, threats are not, debate is protected, violence is not. Period. The digital battleground. Where is all this radicalization happening? Online. Comment sections, subreddits, Discord servers, Twitch streams, they've become breeding grounds for left-wing extremism. These aren't just rants, these are recruitment centers. In the early 2000s, we cracked down on Islamist forums that incubated terrorism. We called them what they were, online terrorist recruitment centers. Today, Reddit hosts threads where assassins are praised, where conservatives are dehumanized as fascists, deserving death. The difference is, when it's Antifa radicals, big tech looks the other way. That era is over. Law enforcement needs to step in with targeted lawful action, temporary FBI detainments, warrants to shut down forums actively inciting violence, arrests for those who cross the line from speech into coordination of attacks. If a subreddit becomes a terror cell, it should be treated like one. And no, that's not censorship. The First Amendment doesn't protect organizing a hit squad. It protects debate. That's the distinction the left deliberately blurs when they cry about free speech crackdowns. We must enforce it without apology. Equal justice, not collective guilt. And here's another principle. Responsibility is individual. Conservatives don't blame all Democrats for Steve Scalise being shot by a Bernie supporter in 2017. We don't smear all progressives for one lunatic trying to assassinate Justice Kavanaugh in 2022. We isolate the criminal, prosecute him, move on. The left, however, slanders every conservative as complicit when one nutcase on the right commits a crime. That's why we must reject the term hate speech. It's the gateway drug to collective guilt. If hate speech becomes criminal, then suddenly every conservative view on marriage, on borders, on biology gets labeled as hate. And then, by their logic, violence against us becomes self-defense. We can't play that game. The rule must be punish acts, not ideas. Hold individuals accountable, not groups. That's equal justice. That's America. A call to action. So where do we go from here? We take Charlie's death as a rallying cry, not for vengeance, but for resolve. First, reaffirm free speech. Stop parroting the phrase hate speech. Stop conceding the ground. Every time we repeat it, we validate the lie. Offensive speech is free speech. Period. Second, enforce the law against threats and violence. No more double standards. If the FBI can raid a 70-year-old grandmother for walking through the Capitol on January 6th, it can certainly investigate Twitch streamers calling for conservatives to be afraid of getting killed. Third, cut off the oxygen to institutions that celebrate political murder. If your alma mater has professors cheering assassinations, pull your donations. If a corporation smears your values, stop buying. Build alternatives. Fourth, get involved locally. The real power is at the school board, the city council, the county board. The left took over institutions by grinding it out at the local level. We take them back the same way. Finally, unite on principle. This is bigger than party. Any American of good faith, left or right, should be able to say, political murder is wrong, speech is free, threats are crimes. If you can't say that, you've left America behind. Keep America free. Charlie Kirk's blood is on the ground, and the question before us is whether his death will mark a descent into chaos or a recommitment to principle. We can either let the radicals drag us into a civil war of vengeance, or we can do what Charlie himself always did, fight with ideas, with truth, with courage, but not with violence. So let's make this clear. Hate speech isn't real. Speech is speech. Threats are crimes. Violence is evil. And America is worth saving. Keep America free. Keep America safe. Keep America great. And let Charlie's legacy live on, not in fear, but in freedom.
Thank you for your attention to